Hey everybody, and welcome back to another one of Mudflap's movie reviews. My name is Mudflap, and today I will be reviewing a very fun sequel. Today I will be reviewing Disenchanted. Let's get started. It's been 15 years since Enchanted, so it was really exciting to see all the original characters come back, all the original actors, and they're all just a little bit older, 15 years older, but they all looked really great. I think Amy Adams hasn't aged a day since Enchanted came out in 2007, but everyone just looked really great. It was really fun to be back, not just back in the New York setting, but also see Andalusia again. And it brings back all those great memories of seeing the movie Enchanted and how we were first introduced to everybody and where they're at now. Life has definitely gotten more complicated and crazy for them recently. Giselle and Robert now have 2 kids. They have Morgan and then they have a baby Sophia. And it's just really awesome to see that. She's a mom now, but she's still got that energy she had from the first movie, and she's trying to just do her best she can, still adjusting to the real world versus the fantasy world in Andalusia. Just really great seeing Morgan. Definitely grown up, and she was definitely a pretty key component of this movie. And she actually has a really great singing voice. That was a pretty nice surprise. She has a couple musical scenes in the movie, and she's singing, and she has a really beautiful voice. So that was just really fun to see that. There's lots of big musical numbers once again. Very beautiful sets, very beautiful costumes. The songs were not as good as the first movie, but there were still some fun songs thrown in there. And one thing I was a little disappointed by was we didn't get to see Edward as much as we did in the first movie. He and Nancy were pretty minor characters in this movie. Nancy had a good song, but for the most part Edward didn't have a whole lot of appearances in this movie, which he was one of my favorite characters in Enchanted. So I was disappointed to see that he just didn't have as big of a role in this movie, but I know the main focus is on Giselle, Robert, and Morgan and their baby. That was the main focus, and then have all these other fun characters thrown in throughout. We got introduced to a new character, Malvina, who was played by Maya Rudolph. She did a phenomenal job. I love Maya Rudolph's just presence on screen. A lot of this movie felt like kind of a mixture between Beauty and the Beast and Cinderella, with a few subtle nods to Sleeping Beauty. The first movie, there was a bunch of combinations of a lot of classic fairy tales, and it seemed like this movie, Disenchanted, kind of picked up the rest of the fairy tale stories that the first movie didn't pull inspiration from. So there were Snow White references, there were Cinderella references. There's actually kind of an interesting reference I'd like to point out. I think part of the inspiration for this movie was not just based on Cinderella, but Cinderella 3, which I've never seen it, but I'm aware of the plot line of Cinderella 3, where it's called A Twist in Time, and it had to do with magical wishes, changing everything about the world that everyone's used to. And that's mainly what the movie was about, the power of a wish and how one wish can make everything go bad. I just really enjoyed this movie. It was fun. It was a different take. I think Amy Adams, she stepped it up to the next level in this movie when she was going between Giselle and the evil stepmother and going back and forth, and I think she can play a really good villain, and that was just really fun to see that side of her. In an interview, Patrick Dempsey, who plays Robert, said that it does have a darker twist on the storyline, but it's kind of fun, more, there's still songs being sung, and he says it's just fun to escape into this world where, the world around us right now is just dark. It always has been, so when you can escape into a movie and escape into a whole new world, and it's got fun upbeat songs but also got some twists and turns there, it's definitely something that we could use more of as just an escape from real life once in a while. So for one of my favorite moments, I really liked the big musical scene that Giselle had. It just brought back lots of memories. It was very similar to her big musical scene in Enchanted, but then there's a really cool sing-off between Giselle and Malvina. It's the song called Batter, which is actually my favorite song from this movie. It was just really creative, lots of back and forth, lots of cool cuts and angles, and just really artistic and creative. And it was just fun. It was really like a bad guy versus a bad guy. They're both villains. It was the evil stepmother and Malvina was supposed to be the evil queen from Snow White. So it was cool. We got to see two villains go against each other, which I've never really seen that much before in a Disney movie. So I thought that was really unique and really special. I also liked one scene where, Giselle's under this curse. She's going to become the evil stepmother very soon, and she's going back and forth. And Morgan is seeing that she's under some kind of curse, and she's going back and forth between personalities to Giselle to evil stepmother and back to Giselle. And it reminded me a lot of, in Lord of the Rings, the two personalities, Gollum and Smeagol. And you could tell in this, when they were doing the shots, they were panning back and forth. One side would be Giselle and one side would be the evil stepmother, and every time she'd go back and forth, her demeanor would change a little bit, the lighting got a little darker. I mean, it was just really, really cool, really, really well done. Use of camera work and just using the lighting and acting and everything to your advantage to create a really cool shot. When it comes to comparing it to Enchanted, I think I like Enchanted. I still like Enchanted better than Disenchanted just because I think it was stronger. The music was a lot stronger. I think the storyline was stronger too. Also, it just really surprised me how cool and awesome the movie was. It definitely caught me off guard. It's just a really fun movie that definitely went under the radar. But Disenchanted definitely has a lot of strengths. But I just felt like it could have had a little more use of characters that weren't used a lot in this movie that were used in Enchanted, but for the most part, they're both super, super fun. It's on Disney Plus right now. See it with your family and your friends. It'd be a really fun movie to see during Thanksgiving break, so I definitely recommend you guys checking that out. So for Disenchanted, I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10 Mudflaps. And before you go, drop in the comments below, who's your favorite character from Enchanted? And as always, if you like this video, give me a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button, ring that bell, and I'll see you next time.